It's all areas. But it was like, so-and-so had cancer. We can't talk about HIPAA laws. Yeah, that's only if we were self-insured.
Talk about taking it over there, maybe. That's what your kids are.
Oh, the reason's not changed.
Hey guys, just to let you know.
Much variation. Yeah. I got five.
There is.
Yeah.
All right. You guys done talking yet? Just teasing. So there's water and Coke and Sprite and Diet Coke.
That's
And the refrigerator that's right by Nathan, the little breaker that's right by Nathan's office. There's some in there. I've got chips, if you guys want chips, ahead of time. I didn't bring them in, sorry. Anyway, so, and either, depending on where we fall as far as people getting them, I'll either run to get somewhere, one of the ladies in my office, or two, but just want to let you know there's drinks in the refrigerator by Nathan's office.
Does she have a busy schedule?
It's in the box.
These are in order.
It's attached to the chips, you know, those little bottles.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get our budget hearing started. Before we get started with the sheriff, I just wanted to go over with the rest of the council. I think as far as running the budget meetings, we'll go through each department head. If you could each make a list of the things that you're want to go back and talk about later, but I think we're going to go through everybody, and then after we go through everybody, then we can have a further discussion once we hear what everyone has to say. So that being said, Chris, if you could start with your current year's budget versus your requested budget, explain any significant increases, identify any new positions, identify any new equipment or major purchases, and please tell the council your top 2 or 3 priorities within your budget.
Well, I was going to start off by anybody having any significant questions for me, but I'll,
Those are my significant questions.
my significant questions. Well, if you see, I'm going to start off with my most important thing is I want to, and I've talked with all the members about it. I've spent the summer going around to all the towns to try and move our part-time animal control to full-time, and that's not going to cost the animal, or the animal. It's not going to cost the county any more money. We could still fund it as a part-time position because Franceville is obligated minimum of $7,000 and possibly $10,000. Winamac is obligated themselves to $7,500. Madeiraville $5,000 and Monroe $3,000. That more than funds that position. We haven't had anybody in that position all year. I've been waiting until budget time because I want to be transparent with the council. The commissioners approved it last spring, but I wanted to wait until now. I'd like to get that position filled. I can't keep a person in there part-time. Once word's gotten around that I want to do it full-time, I've had multiple people ask me about the position. I said, I've been holding off on it. I have a vehicle set aside for it. I have all the equipment set aside for it. The deputies have been overloaded with calls from January of 2025 until May of 2026. We had 500 calls, and you got to consider there's some antler or some deer where we got to take care of deer in there. That's less than 100. So you still have 400 calls. I got to tell the public what nothing we can do about it. Not to put pack them, but they won't take our animals. They won't take aggressive animals. I've simply been relying on the deputies. I went out and fed the dogs and we had them just as a week ago. We had a dog there, and me and Mascot were feeding the dog. I was walking it at night. My wife was walking it at night. We've been relying on Fulton County, Cass County, White County, Stark County. Doesn't really have that in place. I think that's extremely important. The towns were overwhelmingly supportive for this. They were happy to hear I've been somebody in place for it. I just think it's a needed position. That's the reason you see from 30,000 to 50,000 for that position. And like I said, we can fund it as a part-time position. I talked to the attorney for all these towns, which happens to be Justin. He's going to do a 3 to 5 year contract with them with renewal in there. So only thing I do is say they want to renew it, they're going to renew it. So it's not a 1 year thing with them. I told them to put it in their 2027 budget, providing the council will approve that. I think it's very important for the residents. I have no answer for these people. I tell them you have to make arrangements for yourself, and they're very disgusted. Like I said, the deputies have been taking it on the nose for this. I just think that's a position that we have to fill. And it's not gonna cost the county more money. We've had that money sitting there all year long, I just haven't filled that position. I would like to get that filled,
Okay,
so if we
can
could.
we go on to the rest of, there's a lot of pages here, and
Yep.
we don't have a ton of time.
We have, the next thing down, if you see, we moved, the deputies, went down from 100,000 in that fund to $80,000 because Carrie moved 20,000 of that to another fund, right, Carrie?
Okay,
Yeah.
so I have a question about that.
Yes.
The public lit safety fund is going away. Why are we moving money into that? Instead
I
of,
was, same thing you did, but go ahead and explain that way, how that is.
So what's going on?
public lit safety fund is gonna end up going away, so why are we moving money into a fund that's going away?
I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
There's
so
three
public,
different things, right?
public lit, the public 1170 will be going away in 2 years, so that fund is no longer going to be there. So it doesn't necessarily make sense to be putting money into a fund that we need to deplete instead of, you should be taking money and going the other direction, so 1170 into things to fund other items.
So we don't utilize it now then, just,
No, you should utilize it, but I don't think it makes sense to be, it does not make sense to put money into that account. We need to go the other way. So you need to use the 1170 money to fund other things. The Indiana legislature decided to restructure local income tax. And when they restructured local income tax, there will be no 1170 fund anymore.
okay. What I'm asking though is this not appropriate for now though, or?
Well, I don't agree with moving money from county general into public safety
I
lit.
wasn't really moving money, I just moved people. So
But you took $20,000 from,
I didn't move money, I just budgeted more, I guess.
right, but you took it from county general and you put $20,000 extra into public safety lit. And that fund is gonna go away. It makes more sense to put the money back into county general, regardless of what people you're funding. Eventually, you're not gonna be able to fund salaries through 1170.
I mean, we can do that, it's just, it was easier to follow with the people that are in the fund with the overtime that those people are getting. So there's a lot of budgets that I have to like.
Right, I
see.
follow.
So like if there's the sergeants and the chief deputy, that's why that money was there just specifically for those people. So I don't have different overtime budgets coming out of different funds for different people.
Okay, I'm just letting you know, moving forward, that fund is not gonna be there.
Okay,
So for
but
next,
this year goes. okay.
This year and next year, what year are we in? 27 and 28.
So then this would just be reabsorbed by the general fund then, I'm assuming?
Well, the council will have to, no, like, the council will have to figure out where it would need to go back into. So my recommendation is to move that 20,000 back to back into county general. It's one
Well, in
less
the
thing.
middle of the year, what I'll have to do then probably is then do change forms and have them all written up and sent to the auditor's office to change where the money's coming out of, because I'll run out of money there. And then I'll have to send the forms to ask for that to be changed on that end, and then also in my system, have to change all of that information as well.
I understand that. I'm just, eventually that, I think
Eventually,
your brain, big picture, you need to start thinking about that fund not being there.
Well, yeah, but the big picture is I'm trying to keep everything together while we can. I
Right.
don't see the need for, but, yeah.
another item is inmate meals. That's so volatile. We're down on inmates right now, so that's not, it fluctuates back and forth. That's another thing I circled, $85,000 in there. Health professional services, that's nothing we can do about that. That's $73,471. We stayed the same on the amount of vehicles. The only difference in increase was the cost of the vehicles, and equipping these vehicles, which goes up every year. We didn't increase that. Is there any other questions on the general fund? Anybody?
What's the $130,000 that has nothing else there from service and maintenance agreements?
Where are you talking about?
On the third page? at the very
Oh,
top.
I see. What's that? Is that what stuff like that?
The other service. So basically, I used a 36300 was the number previously. That was just defaulted. So, and seeing that that was actually, I don't want to say the improper, but this is a more generalized agreement. It's the same kind of contract. It's just I moved the money to a different appropriation number. It would have been previously in 36300.
Okay.
All right. Is that ever all the questions on the general? Accident reports, ORV permits are in there. Going to items in the radar repairs. Gonna move on to continuing education, $2,000 in there, that didn't change. Firearms training, that's still the same. This public lit, that's a confusing fund for me. Is there any questions on that? Oh, that's the one you guys just discussed. Sorry, just moving general to the matrix call, right? Yeah.
So with 1170, just so you guys have an idea, when the state restructures the local income tax, the sheriff's department does not have a rate that gets distributed to them anymore. So your budget has to come out of county general or some other fund. This won't, it's not a public safety anymore. It's EMS and fire. So do you know how much your budget is more compared to last year?
We didn't compare it. I asked Carrie that before we walked in, but she didn't compare it last year to this year. I want to say it was pretty even, wasn't it, compared to last year? We
I
didn't
came up
compare
with
percentages.
$500,000 more.
What it was. Is that correct?
Well, that's including the wages, right?
Correct, including
Oh,
wages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Line for line, very insignificant
Okay.
appropriation numbers.
Because you told us to put a 5% increase in for the employees. Police pension, if I move on to that, that's the same as what it's been.
With the way this is laid out this year, with the jail, I separated the jail, fee, appropriations, I guess. So I added something that was not previously available. And so the numbers are a little off because it's not giving comparisons of a previous year because there were no comparisons in that location number. So it's really hard to do that this first year with that, but I tried to keep the balance if it was one appropriation and I split it between two about the same.
Okay, I have two more questions. What would happen if we funded you at last year's level, and if you had to cut 5% from your budget, where would you cut it?
That's a hard question to sit here and say that. I don't know. I can't off the top of my head answer that question. I mean, we still have to feed the inmates, we still need vehicles. The contract's are the contract, you can't change that. We still have to provide service to the residents, so I don't know where we would cut it. I think we've been pretty frugal on everything.
Do you get the money from the town for the 911 dispatch center?
Not that I'm aware of, but that stopped some years back.
So what's to ensure that you would get the money from the animal control if we're not getting the money from the town for the dispatch center?
What was the question?
What would be how do we guarantee that we're gonna get money for animal control from the towns if we're not getting the money for the 911 dispatch center? They're supposed to give
We're
it,
having a contract with the towns. We're
right,
gonna
but
have a contract in place with all of them.
do we not have a contract in place? Is it just a verbal agreement with them regarding 911?
In the past, like with Winnemac, I believe it was, yes, but there was no contract with it, no. I'm gonna have a contract in place because that's exactly what I thought of when I started doing this.
So can we put a contract in place for 911 as well?
I haven't tackled that animal, I don't know. That's kind of hard now. I mean, we're way into this 911 system now. But I thought of that, that's why I had a contract in place with all these towns with the animal control. And I'll have that in place before I even fill that position.
So you're talking a full-time animal control person, which I would assume that would be 40 hours a week.
Yeah, we would put them in the matrix as Carrie and I talked about this at length, probably as a dispatcher wage, starting at that. And once I mentioned that, Brad, like I said, I've had multiple people reach out to me. I just can't keep it filled as a part-time position. It's a revolving door. Jeff will tell you the same thing. I've set aside vehicle for it, and the equipment is still sitting there in my office. I just been waiting to fill the thing. And I just didn't want to do it a one-year thing. AJ asked me that the other day. It's just one and done. No, it's not going to be one and done. I'm going to have a contract in place with these towns and renewable each year after 3 to 5 years, however they choose. So it continues on.
Are you going to be on call all the time?
Yes. You know, it's tough when you do a 28-hour week, because you have animals, you got to feed them 7 days a week. So you can't just do it Monday through Friday. You still got to take care of on the weekends. That's the problem that I had before. And then always getting in overtime, I had to keep them working 28 hours or below. So 40 hours makes more sense because they're seven days a week.
So
They work 7 days a week.
their schedule's going to be flexible then?
Yes.
Because they're going to get called out at 2 o'clock in the morning.
They get called out at 2 o'clock in the morning.
But if they've already got 40 hours in,
Then they'll be paid overtime.
Okay.
Yes.
so you have a line item for overtime for the animal control too?
Well, it's got to be a full-time position to be able to do that. We don't have a line item for them.
Yeah.
Under part-time, we did. But Carrie said once if it's approved, well, it's been approved by the commissioner, if it's approved by you guys, we'll have to have a line item for that. And that's the reason for a little bit of a buffer, because you're only talking 140s as a winter position. You know, with the additional money, if you add it up, that gives you some more money for that, from that position.
So what did the other incorporated towns think about their share? I mean, how are they going to?
Francis, AJ was there at that one, they were very happy with it. Winnemac was very happy with it. The area was the same. Monterey's a lot smaller town, they were happy with it. I didn't have any negative contact or comments with any of them. They were all very happy we were gonna do that, very, very happy to donate, to help fund it, not donate, to help fund it.
Yeah.
When I said a 35-year contract, I think one of the towns said they want to make it long. I said, no, that we would do it a 3 to 5 year contract. Because I thought of that with the 911 contract, she brought up, I thought, no, I'm not doing this one, we're gonna have something that's already over this.
Can you restate what each town was gonna give?
What's that?
Each town, how much were they gonna give?
Francisville is gonna give 7, possibly 10. They said a minimum 7. Is what Susie told me. Winnemac 7,500. These are locked in numbers. Madera
What's Winnemac? How much is Winnemac?
7,500. Madera 5, and Monterey 3. I confirmed all these last week again. I spent the month of June going around each town board and spoke to them individually. But Francisville saying, Susie told me 7 minimum, possibly 10, but 7 is what they're locked in at.
What was Madera's first?
What's that?
What was Madera's?
Madera was 5,000. Their president told me. And this will be in the contract. And I'm not gonna fill it without the contract from all of them.
Do you know your total amount of wages for next year?
You know what that is?
More on that one under,
This one?
so then they're just listed,
Is it, this number, 516,
well,
645?
that's per department, so.
516, 201. So if you add 209, 576, 516, 645, and 809, 135. I don't have to calculate it. And we have, I counted up 9, I think they're moving to a higher matrix level. And I think those are included in those numbers I just gave you. What about this dispatcher? Did I forget this one?
Yeah, that's coming, yeah, that's out of a different.
That's on the fund. Yeah, the 519,719 is dispatch, so.
So if you add all those numbers up and you add the 5% increase, that's an increase in your budget of $116,000.
Sounds correct.
But your budget went up $500,000, so we're gonna have to definitely look from last year.
I would recommend going forward, the actual wages be separated from our budget because it really is very misleading.
We just backwards.
There's over $1 million in wages and a 5% increase. And then you're budgeting all that with, minuscule amounts of household supplies for 3,000, it's, I personally believe it needs to be separated so that people actually know what they're spending outside of wages, which is something I believe is separate than, these are actual spending dollars. But we can get that number for you later. I can go and do that. I don't have that separated out.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, it seems like we spent some time on my position, but that was already in the budget from this year, this $30,000. The only difference was going from $30,000 to $50,000. If you want to cut $10,000 to $15,000 off of it, we can still fund it. I think we can still fund that position. I mean, that's not $400,000, but I don't know where all this other is from. But that's a position we already have in place. That is a position we have. I'm not adding a position because I'm getting the funds from the towns.
Well, I think most of that 400 is wages, isn't it?
No, it's just 116,000. I just did the math. Okay, does anybody have any other questions? Okay, thank you, Chris and Karen.
Yep.
The previous year for this one,
That's what we do. I talked to you yesterday, you're doing it,
Mm-hmm.
like 600. Be something to thank you.
Hey, Jenny.
Morning.
How are you? Okay. Good. We're running a little bit ahead, so thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. If you could just kind of normal format, please share with us your current year's budget versus your requested budget. Explain any significant increases, identify any new positions, identify any new equipment or major purchases, and then please tell the council your 2 or 3 top priorities.
I guess as far as with the increase, basically like compared to last year for total, really the only increase as far as, is the 5% for the payroll for the employees and stuff. I did add in an additional 5,000 this year in hopes to possibly purchase a drone. I have a picture of one here. This is what Jasper County has. So I kind of got his recommendations for that. And then, of course, there's accessories that go along with that. So that's why I put that in there. I kind of feel that a drone would be very beneficial to my office. just in anything, like with crops up and stuff, it'd be helpful, people report something, like don't have to travel through crops and damage anything, and even with the flooding, that would help,
Do you have to have a special license to fly the drone?
That's all that, I have to look into all of that to see, but some people I talk to, they say, no, you do not have to have a license. And then some say you do, but I kind of feel like it all depends what kind of drone it is, because this is basically just off Amazon. And I feel like this does not require a license. So a little more research, but I don't think I would need a license for that.
Okay.
But basically that is the only increase. So this year with everything, for as far as the surveyor, my whole total budget with payroll is $122,392.90. And then drainage board, a total of $21,036 for this year. And I just did, for drainage board, of course, it's just the normal 5% increase that was requested by council. The same as with the surveyor as far as the line item. There is one thing on, for the first deputy, I did have to add in for the longevity loan for Lynn. So that added an additional $1,351.90, which raised hers up to $44,874.90. If everything is correct on that, I don't know if that, because I know you had sent me an email regarding that, and I did the figures, so that's what the change is for that. So
okay, so we'll print out what you guys have, probably says 43,523 for Lynn. So it'll actually be 44 what, Jenny, I'm sorry.
44,874.90.
Okay.
And then I did, like, for our special meetings and stuff, I did, try to incorporate some extra meetings, because during the year, sometimes things pop up and you have to call in the board for extra meetings, and it seems like at the end of the year, I'm always trying to do an appropriation for an extra meeting or two, so I'm leaving that.
You don't have any trouble getting people on your board, do you? Your boards are always full?
As far as like our other drainage boards, like with members,
Yeah.
no, we seem to do pretty good with getting members for that. Yeah, like I said, really, there's no big changes. There's still a lot of things that I left zero. So yeah, I mean, I haven't put in, the only, like I said, for the drone, the only new equipment, other than that, nothing. So yeah, I don't know if that answers
Yeah,
your
no, it's
questions.
good.
Okay, sorry.
There's not a lot of changes from the previous year, so that's appreciated.
Yeah. I usually try to make notes on the
Yeah.
notes section, no changes, so it's a little easier to see.
Does anybody have any questions for Jenny?
Thank you.
So you did?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.
Sure, we can do that.
We're gonna take a 5-minute break if anyone needs to use the bathroom. You are still live.
No, I didn't. I looked in there and it actually looks like 11 million. If I'm looking at Gateway.
I told you I might have had it.
Because at first I was like, because you could get on Gateway and see it, but. Oh, yeah. But they should let you out, just won't let you. Yeah, because whenever we, lock them at the end of the meeting, they should stick it out. Yeah, it could be a whole hours.
Well, that's still not great.
Right, yeah. But it'd been nice if it was more like 8:49.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Right, isn't that what they call us?
Oh, yeah, my, yeah, probably something like that. It sounds familiar. want me to, I can do mine. Unless Laura's up here, she's not due till 10:15.
Yeah, we can do that.
I probably should have brought my phone up here.
We're running ahead.
Yeah.
For building repairs or whatever, does that take in the shower and whatever? You know, let's say no, yeah. Is it in here? I guess. What she was, I thought, I don't know. Yeah. That's a good break. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot of pages. Yeah, I think he doesn't have those in the dead air for.
Hey, in the future, like when we have all these different accounts, when we get to talking, we refer to them as that number? Because I wasn't following very well in the sheriff's department.
Oh, like say county general or
Yeah.
1170 or,
Yeah,
Okay.
because I can find that and kind of follow along, you know.
yeah, because he has so many.
Or are you taking, that's not a paper, that's your notes, right? In your hand?
Oh, no, that is one of the papers.
Oh, okay,
I put a note right here.
okay.
What I was getting at is like for the showers, you know, that they're going to repair. Is that in here?
I
No,
don't think it is.
So why wouldn't you have it in here? I mean,
He was taking that money off of, like the interest, I think the interest from the courthouse or justice center, I think that's where they were getting the money. It was some other fund they were getting that
we're
money.
gonna fund all of it.
Getting it from federal inmates.
Federal inmates, okay.
Yeah,
I
the
knew
money
they
he
was,
brings in for the federal inmates goes into its own account.
but
It's just not
but
in his
that's not
budget.
all profit.
Right, really. Yeah.
No, it should still be in his budget.
Really should, yeah.
That's happening
Yeah.
this year.
Because just because there's money coming in doesn't mean that that's the better.
Nathan, you called town and blank on that. What's the deal on that?
To answer that question,
Yeah.
based on what the architect's timeline is, I think the hope is that that'll be an additional this year.
Oh.
That might slow down and it may end up being an additional load next year, but right now I think the architects are hoping to have the drawings done and we'll start bidding in September, with construction probably the last quarter of this year.
I don't think this is the right. Hey Nathan, can I borrow your section?
And that's estimated what you think.
Okay, on this thing, am I on the right page that says this is what our budget should be for 2027?
For county general.
Assuming that all their assumptions are correct, yes, that should at least be the target. Obviously, we do have cash reserves, but that's the.
So this number?
That is, so, well, oh, no. So that is the expected ending fund balance for this year.
Right,
And then,
there.
this page doesn't have receipts on it. I think basically they want us to get as close as possible to budget reflecting receipts so that we're not giving into cash reserves. But I think they're probably expecting that isn't going to happen this year. You know, know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I follow you, but this is,
So, I mean, realistically,
this is the fund balance, not the.
this doesn't have receipts. I'm not sure, I can look at it.
Are you guys okay if letting Teresa go with her budget in front of Laura? Laura's not supposed to be here until 10:15.
Yeah.
So Teresa said she's willing to go, so if you guys could find the auditor in your stack, it's gonna be not the next one.
Yeah, it's gonna be close to the bottom of today. So right after EMS, if that helps.
Yep, that's it.
It is, that's why I wore a longer sleeve.
Is that another one's cut off?
Yeah, that's not good. Okay, Teresa. Hold on, let me read my questions.
Everybody on the page?
Okay, if you could start with your current year's budget versus your requested budget, explain any significant increase, identify any new positions, any new equipment, and the top 2 or 3 priorities you have.
Compared for the auditor part of it, for my office, the only thing difference, well, I am losing my first deputy to retirement at the end of this year. And so, my transfer deputy is actually moving into her spot. So then, I have already advertised for the transfer deputy position and have hired Stacy Fritz to be my transfer deputy. She will not start until September 1st of this year so that she can get trained, but she'll only be part-time, so that she can get trained, because my now transfer deputy that's stepping into my claims deputy position is actually about 8 months pregnant. She is due the middle of October, and so I wanted to get Stacy in here time enough to start learning the job. Also, we have tax sale the 18th of September, so I want her to be able to see the process and go to the tax sale and see all that before, which would be a good experience for moving forward. So my Jenny, my payroll deputy has a longevity increase for this year. That's one of the increases. My first deputy pay actually goes down because Mary will have like 9-10 years experience. So Trinity only has a couple of years. So my pay goes down in first deputy. I have not added anything besides that. Everything has stayed the same. I want to keep the, I didn't change it, but my preservation of records in Forest County General we're in the middle of scanning plat books. Stephanie Wheeler is actually out at the county highway and been scanning these plat books so that we can, we have to have 2 forms of, 2 forms of how it's kept per the State Records Commission. So we are scanning them to put them in microfilm, and then also we will upload them to the cloud. So then we don't have to house these books because they're all out at that Quonset building, which we have to clean out because it's in such disrepair and probably needs to come down sooner or later. To answer your questions, I'm sorry. I got on a tangent.
You're good, keep going.
Another budget that I am in charge of is the jail lease rental, the 1185. All that is the amount to pay the bill for the jail lease payment every year. So it is based on a amortization schedule, so that is the amount of the payment for next year.
Where does that money come from? Like, how does it get into that fund?
It actually, we get money from, that's part of property tax as
Okay.
well. So, property tax money goes in that fund to pay that jail lease rental. As well as the courthouse lease rental too, in Fund 1184. That one also, fluctuates with the amortization schedule that's already laid out when the bond is done. So, that amount, all that is to pay that payment. Any questions so far?
Don't you have to advertise to hire somebody?
I did.
Oh, I didn't see that. Was it on the county's website?
Mhm. And then also I put it, I have to post it down by the, time clock
Yeah.
to see if anybody in
Yeah,
house
internal
wants it.
first, yeah, okay. I missed it, I'm sorry.
One of the other funds that I'm in charge of is the 1181, the plat book fees. And that one also, pays to help, for these scanning fees that we do. This is to help, there's a company that we actually pay to get once we scan these books onto the microfilm. So, that is to pay their fee, and I didn't increase it, just moved it. They had it under computer software, and, I moved it up to miscellaneous services and charges into different accounts. But the amount stayed the same.
Does anybody have any questions? Thanks, Teresa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody, I don't have my phone, I should have brought my phone with me. Somebody see if we're
Sure.
come up.
Do you want to pause this again?
Huh?
I'm gonna pause this again.
Yeah,
Stop.
yeah, just stop.
Or Baker Tilly. Good idea.
I was at 69, that's good.
Fees again. I just said it.
I didn't touch it. I just looked. It's at 69.
Roughly told. We could save $5,000 if we'd make set it at 75.
Yeah.
Oh, we're moving right along, right? Okay, I assume you all have a copy of my budget.
Yes, so after looking at your budget, a lot of this doesn't apply, but I'm gonna go ahead and read it anyways. Please start with your current year's budget versus your requested budget. Please explain any significant increase, identify any new positions, identify any new equipment, and please tell the council your top 2 or 3 priorities, which, yeah, I understand, Laura.
Okay, it's pretty minimum.
Yeah.
I have 12 lines on my budget. The first 2 are wages for myself and my first deputy. I did a 5% increase. I believe that's what council suggested. Sorry, I'm catching my breath. I took the stairs. The part-time help was $16,000.
I really don't believe I need that much, but it's the same thing as I had last year, and that way, if I need it, it's there. This year, I expect to spend somewhere between 10 and 15,000. I don't think I'll go up to the 16, but, so I just left it the same. Envelopes, I think we have enough envelopes to last us at least another year, but I put $300 in there, which is what's been in there for a while, just in case we do need something. Tax statement, processing and printing, I left it at 7,000. For 2026, we spent 5,150. I have 50/50 on there, but we actually spent 5,150. So here's the deal on processing. I just came back from the Treasurer's Conference, and the state, in their infamous wisdom, has decided that for some reason, property taxes are going to go down. And I better go back. Last year, in the first part of the year, the same state General Assembly said, if you have zero liability taxes, you don't have to mail them out. We always had to mail them out before. They said you don't have to mail them out. This year, they said your property taxes are going to go down, and we want all taxpayers to know the difference between 2026 taxes and 2027 taxes. Therefore, we don't care if it's zero liability, you mail them out. So I've increased the postage up to 9,000. We had a stamp increase. I think in July was the increase, and then they're making us send out the taxes whether we should or not. And so I've just added another 2,000 to that. Will I need it all? I have no idea.
I'm just curious, do you know, is there a lot of people that have zero liability that you're now gonna have to send out postage to them?
There's quite a few.
Yeah, okay.
There's quite
It's
a
gonna
few.
be worse this next year because of that personal property exemption going to 2 million. There's gonna be a lot of.
Yeah,
Well,
so you have to
that's
send those out
right.
even though, so it's not just property, it's like personal property
Right,
too.
it's personal property as well.
That's smart.
But yeah, so prior to this past year, the rule was to mail the property tax. But if it was zero liability, they just put them in a big box and mailed them to me, or to the treasurer's office. And then we just kind of put them in the corner and saved them. So it didn't say who they had to be mailed to, they just had to mail it, which we did. So that was a big box, it was a sizable box, about the size of box that you get your checks, or you order checks or whatever. It was a pretty sizable box. And I think we got a box and a half of those.
Okay.
So all of that has to be mailed out now to the taxpayers. So I don't know what it'll cost, I just put the extra 2,000 in there. For travel, I've got 500 in there, I haven't used any of that. So once again, the state makes the rules, we just live by them. And the state says you have to have so many hours of continuing education. And they have a conference in the spring. It's a one-day conference, usually in Plainfield, Indiana. And then they have a second conference in August. I don't usually go to the first one. I don't drive in big cities, so I have to get someone to take me, and it's just kind of a headache. So I haven't used the travel. And the conferences that I do go to are state-called conferences, and this is paid for by the commissioner's budget. So I just have the $500 in there in case I need it. Schools, meetings, and seminars, I've added $400 to that because in order to keep up with the state and the rules that they have, I have to do online classes. And, you know, I have to have like 15 hours every year, and the conference doesn't actually give you the whole 15 hours, and it just depends on how long I can stay, because they will revise by how long you were there. So anyway, I put the $400 in there. This year I spent $300. I took 3 online classes, plus I did another one. at the treasurer's conference. So there were 4 classes that are at $75 a piece. So I added the $400 for online classes. Equipment repair, I just put that $500 in there. I don't know that there's actually any equipment that we would ever need to be repaired, but I have it in there in case. The rent and leases is a $50, I put $50 in there. It's for the lockbox at the bank. It usually costs us about $15 a year. So this could be brought down if you really wanted to. I'm thinking $35 isn't going to make or break this budget. The Treasurers Association is what we have to pay for. Every office has to pay for their association fees. It's based on wages. So last year we paid $425. I had to do a $25 transfer so I could get that covered. So this year I put $600 in there. I'm not sure what it'll cost, but it'll be close. And then I've got $2,000 in office equipment just in case. This year, I think I have the same thing in there. And I will need to buy new calculators because our calculators are, you know, it doesn't take long to eat them up for them to start acting wonky. And we don't want our calculators acting wonky. So I'm going to buy new ones. Don't know if I'll use the 2,000. It's in there in case. That's my budget.
Thank you. Does
So-
anybody have any questions?
It's a total increase of $7,000, mostly over the wages more than anything else. But there's, you know, there's a few dollars extra in other places. We good?
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
It's actually, John, the recycling. It's okay. It'll be fine here.
What time is it supposed to be here?
We're supposed to be here at 10:30. You want to talk some of the EDAs?
Yeah, we could. Guys, we have until 10:30 until recycling gets here. Does anybody want to start talking about EDA payments since we have an hour almost, just 45 minutes? You guys open to that? Do you not want to do that?
Sounds good. We got an hour, we might as well do something.
Okay. So does anybody have any ideas on what they would like to do after we've done the fiscal study and we're starting to look at budgets?
I think some of that EDA ought to go to, the sheriff was talking the other day about down in the basement of the Justice Center, there's just piles of paperwork. It sounds like you do some preservation stuff that, you know, is that, you do that every year, or is that something you get caught up on and then you don't have to do it? It's just something that gets done every year?
Yeah, it's continuous, because I know different departments have people within them. So like my part-time lady, Vicki Manikowski, she deals with, it's through circuit court, through Judge Welker. They meet like every month or two and talk about changes in the records, retention schedule, things like that for different offices. And if we want to request to get anything destroyed, if it's been within the time frame that the record retention says, then they have to go through them to make sure that there's a representative from like the library, from the historical society, I mean, different areas, so that if we have something in our office that would be like historical or something like that, then they could say, hey, don't destroy it, give it to us, or, you know, or whatever. But yeah, that is kind of a constant thing. We're just trying to get caught up out there at the Kwanzaa building, you know, and get those books out of there before that building.
Are you gonna be able to get rid of those books, or are they gonna have to go somewhere for storage, or?
No, we should be able to get rid of them once we can get the company, it's called SBS portals. And what they're doing is moving it to the microfilm and then to the cloud. So we have two sources for the information. Then we can get rid of the books, because there's a
Well, I don't know where the clerk was on, you know, what was that, a year or two ago, they were working on their stuff, and it was kind of a mess. I don't know where if that's ever gotten straightened out.
I think the stuff in the basement is, most of it is the
over
clerks.
there.
Am I right?
Yeah.
I think it's all of it is the clerks, or a big chunk of it. And I know some of it, and we could ask her when she comes in, but I think a lot of it she has to keep. Like state mandated, we can't get rid of it. So it's permanent. I think and that was the place to store it at that. I think it's just storage down there. So what were your thoughts? Did you want to?
Well, I just think there ought to be something done with it. The last time I seen it, that was 4 or 5 years ago, it was a disaster. And, I don't know if there's some other place that, or if you could just organize it somehow, how it's stored down there. It was just.
I know when they did the courthouse, whatever was down there was moved out and all Joe's stuff was moved down there. So it's not, I don't know what it was 4 or 5 years ago, but it is rows of stuff, like aisles where you can go down and.
It's just, I thought something that you could look at, because that would be maybe a one-time expense that what that money could be.
Yeah, I think we can ask her, but I think we have to keep that stuff. So it would have to be put somewhere.
It's gotta be safe anyway.
Yeah.
It's probably got children information and social security numbers and things like that too.
Well, you asked us last meeting, and I was, mine was, last year we gave the school some money, and I still think the money should be used for, community and good for the community and stuff like that, not just for operations. But but the schools, we gave them money, and then we didn't give the library any, and with all the meetings we've been to on Senate Enrolled Act 1, it sounds like everybody's going to be hurting. So the schools could, use that for a teacher or something, and we have to keep our kids educated. The next one's the libraries. I think the libraries would be a spot to give some. And then I think we did Sheila and I 2 years ago, maybe we worked on stuff, how other counties were doing it, and we researched it a lot. And it ended up just being, who you are and what you're doing to get the money. Well, I think if we would give some to the community foundation, that they could put it on, save it, and they could dish it out every year, and to let them decide, and then maybe come to the council and decide, if it's worthwhile, so you don't have the council having to make people mad. It won't be so political if the community foundation did it. And they always do good stuff, it seems like to me. They've done a lot for, the ones I've been involved with, but that's my thoughts.
I think we should invest it and spend the interest off of it.
Well, if we gave it to community foundation, it would get to, it'd be for some of it would be used for, community projects. That's what I like about it. We could say it's for community projects, or we could even give them so much and say the others for government operations, where I'm sure they're going to get more than we are investing it. What are we going to get? 3.68%?
No, but First National Bank, we're getting like 6 something.
We are?
Yeah.
I don't know what the interest rates right now are.
I'd have to, I can't hardly believe that, but maybe we are. Because I think T-bills, sell tomorrow, and they predicted 3.68% tomorrow. But you could get 5 if you want, 30 years, but maybe that's what they're doing. They just go a real long time. I know
We discussed that.
The 3 month ones weren't very much.
Probably 6 months ago at the meeting about where that money's at, the solar money, where it's at now. It was 800,000 and it was earning 6 point something% interest.
I don't remember that either.
I don't know that Laura's got that money invested. I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah.
I don't know that Laura's got that money. I know several of there's quite a few CDs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because
about
the
that.
solar money sits in its own fund. It's not, right?
Well, it sits in county general until we get it moved, which we're moving it, but, so. No matter what, county general does get, the bank account itself, which is most of our money, does get a decent rate, a lot better than everyday people's checking accounts. Right, yeah. Yeah,
So it's
'cause
not, it's been sitting in county general this whole time.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's just earning interest on its own, it's all of county general's earning interest.
Correct, and
Yeah,
if you
okay.
continue to do that, then you're gonna have a pile of interest later on. Nathan even mentioned that at our last council meeting.
What do you think, Sheila? You're the one that got us an extra $750,000.
I think we should do stuff for the community too. This is the opportunity where we don't have somebody telling us how to spend tax dollars. It's not levied, there's no rate. We all say that we want Pulaski County to be better. Well, this is the opportunity to have money to do that. And I really wish the 7 of us could figure out a great way to do that without fighting and arguing.
I think it'd be nice to have a committee, lack of better things, words, that the different towns could come to as well.
I can't hear you, AJ, I'm sorry. What did you say?
I'll
It's hard
talk
to,
right loud. There's 2 open chairs right here.
yeah, just speak louder.
Okay, so I think it'd be nice for the towns to have a meeting where all the towns can come together, like the presidents of the towns, of the councils, and they got ideas where to spend this money. If we're gonna spend it for the townspeople, why are we gonna decide? Why not open it up to the people that are more aware of what's going on in each town? We don't know what's going on in every town, do we? No. So if we ask them to come to some kind of a meeting, a tabletop, and so we can decide where best do you see, and we can take that into consideration. But I think it's obvious to me that with this new SB whatever that's gonna be coming, that we're gonna be in trouble possibly. So we need to start saving money, and start investing it, not just spending as fast as we make it, because we might need it years down the road. And we're not promised buku bucks through this all. Things could change, and these companies could go belly up. So let's not spend every dime we constantly are getting. We need to start saving because we might need it later.
I'm not opposed to saving some of it, but I think some of it we should invest into our community too. I think it needs to be a couple different ways to do that. I'm not opposed to doing it. I think it's smart to invest some of it and have interest and move forward, but I also think there's gonna be just shy of $2 million sitting there by the end of the year. So, we can invest part of it and we can do something good for the community too. It's not like our hands are tied.
Can some of it offset our renovation project that we did here?
Yeah, and we have the ability to do whatever with the money, yes. But I mean, Tim, I think that's a good idea too, but long-term, maybe that's like something where we say, okay, X amount of money goes towards, every year, like when we do our budget meeting, X amount goes towards paying part of the bond payment. So the way the bond payment works is we can't pay it off early.
Understood.
So, but we can offset some of the payment.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a bad idea.
So it's kind of a trickle down effect for the whole taxpayers to get a little benefit out of it.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a giant, but you'd see something, maybe depending on what your tax bill is, but yeah, I think that's an idea. I don't think that's a bad idea either. I know I spoke to the community foundation and kind of what AJ's saying. They would be willing to take some of the money from us, or we could give them part of the money for the community, and they would put a group of people together from all over the county, and then they would apply for those special nonprofit people that want to do things like the Madairyville Gym or whatever, and then that group of people would say, this is a good application, and make a recommendation to go ahead and fund that. So we could give part of the money to do that, so that stuff does get done in the community. And then we're not the ones deciding, it's this group of people from all different walks of life and, you know, trying to get somebody from each sector to do that. And that takes care of AJ's concern that we don't know everything that's happening. John, you can come in.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Why doesn't the community foundation come speak to us tomorrow?
She's coming today.
Oh, well.
She's on the schedule.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she is.
Well, maybe we'll have time. We can talk to her then, what, like,
She's after lunch at 1.
Mike, you guys gave me way more time than I think I should need, and went right after her, so if you need to discuss longer with her, that should work out. I don't see.
oh, you're just trying to get out of us drilling you.
I've been drilled for 15 years.
I know.
We can pause this discussion. John's here, so if you guys are good with that, we'll jump into the recycling. John, whenever you're ready. Morning, how are you?
I'm doing well, how about you?
Good. So format kind of has been, please start with your current year's budget versus your requested budget. And then if you could explain any significant increase, identify any new positions, identify any new equipment or major purchases, and then please tell us if you have 2 or 3 priorities that you're concerned about for next year.
Okay. My 2026 budget was $430,019. This year's budget requested is $448,797. If you have it in front of you, I try to keep my increases down as much as possible, but some things like trash disposal at the landfill, their rates have gone up. So I asked for more money there. Utilities this year, I noticed that, the courthouse pays the majority of my utilities, so sometimes it's not always easy to keep exactly track of what's going on there, but I noticed that this year, for 2026, I'm gonna come really close to, I might even have to get some additional, but, so I increased it for 2027 to make up for those rates. Same thing for the NIPSCO fuel, that's part of the utilities. Of course, the projected raises for personnel. Other than that, those are my only real increases.
Does anybody have any questions for John? I do.
Okay,
How's your building doing?
for recycling,
Yeah,
it's rough. Brad had the roof resealed. You remember what year that was when we had that done? 20 years, it's been.
2017, I was pregnant almost 10 years.
Yeah. So the roof on it has been leaking quite a bit, and then with the recent rain we had, it was like a river in there, if anybody was in there last week. It was kind of exciting. We would have had some kayaks, we could have, had some fun in there actually, but.
and I'm just curious, I know when I first started on the council, we talked about fixing your roof. Did we end up doing that?
On our shop, yes.
Okay.
That roof got fixed, yes.
Okay.
So,
No, your turn.
Fees, I know we had talked about, did you kind of address and look at dumping fees, and have you adjusted those?
I did. So, this year compared to last year, my revenue is up 23.65% from last year, at almost the exact time, which, obviously helps the deficit. Last year I was down 58.79% at this time. This year, right now, I'm currently 23.4% down. So we've made up that difference by half, or better than half.
But you're down tonnages too, right?
Correct.
So probably the contractors.
This year construction, contractors have been really strong compared to what we've had for the last 3 or 4 years, honestly. But I think that's reflected in the economy. I think people are starting to do more than what they were.
Did Pratt ever re-sign a contract with you? But they're still paying you the premium price?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, they come pretty close to what we were getting before, it's $60 a ton. But there has been a couple times where it's dropped. But I've asked a lady's named Sarah, it's our account representative, a couple times to meet with me, and this hasn't happened. But I don't know, I think Pratt's going through a cycle of change of some sort, because it's just not quite the same as it used to be. As far as, I don't know if anybody has any more questions, but some of the concerns I do have are, we have a lot of aging equipment, not only building wise, but in years past, I've asked for the backhoe, some money for a backhoe, but I can't seem to procure one for that price. So this year I did not include that in my budget. But our garbage truck is, the truck itself is fairly strong, but the box that we compact the cardboard in is as old as the dirt here, I think. So that's going to have to be addressed eventually. And the roof on recycling, and then also the compactor at the transfer station is definitely showing its age.
So when Baker Tilly did that fiscal study, did you let them know about these capital improvement
I had
projects?
10 items that I shared with them. Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I brought it to Scott's attention that when you look at the listing that they
Yeah, it's
have,
not
there's
there.
nothing on there, and I said, I know John took up quite a bit of a list to you, and he forgot it.
Okay.
So they were reworking to put that stuff on there. Yeah.
It'd be nice to be able to plan out a little bit, like, yeah,
Absolutely.
especially with the way the state's infinite wisdom of cutting things.
Yeah, I realize I can't be all.
Right, no.
It's definitely things that need to be on the horizon of slow upgrades of different pieces of equipment.
Okay. Anybody else got anything for John?
You're still getting the money from the solid waste district, right?
Yes. However, I don't know if you want me to comment on this, but the solid waste district could be just dissolving. That's a rumor, so to speak, but they said 2 to 3 years possible.
Because I don't know that wouldn't cause a pause in the funding, would it? 'Cause that comes from the landfills.
Mm-hmm. But apparently the landfills are not chipping in as much as they were. And that's caused them to be, like, she had to give up her own, the company vehicle, and cut a bunch of expenses of her own as far as the district manager. So I don't know. Currently, yes, we are receiving the $30,000.
I'm vice president of that board, and she gave that car up on her own just because she just soon take mileage. She never drove it. She just soon drive her.
Well, she said it would save them money. So
Drive her own vehicle. And then the landfills could, the 2 counties, which Newton County's threatened that for years, and they've never have taken that away. Open their own solid waste district and just do Newton County. So they've always, put that money into the district. And it has been, cut, several times. It might have been used to be 50 cents. Now it might only be 15 cents. But we're still getting money, but we're spending more than we're getting, just with the projects and the grants and, all that kind of stuff, and the household hazardous waste. So it looks like there's just gonna change it down, but I think you used to have to be in a solid waste district. And then White County, you know, they've never threatened to pull out. Of course, it's their home county, and I mean, they put in a lot of money too. And they, you know, they're basically giving it to us. But, you know, when that first was formed, it was like, well, you have a landfill, and then when our landfill's full, we're gonna move on to Pulaski County. When it's full, we're gonna move on to, you know, Benton County or whatever. You know, they were just gonna move it around, the landfill. Well, then, you know, it's never happened that way. It just went to, but that was the first intention. So I don't think it's really going away, but it definitely has some struggles with finances. So, but as far as the grants to the recycling centers, yes. It's still this year.
I just thought maybe that'd be an avenue for your Packer box. If you had money that you could roll over to the next year and use. I think you could get a decent Packer box for 50 grand and put on the truck. I don't know.
Yeah.
That solves part of the problem.
Anybody else got anything for John? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Did you move it up?
I just did, yeah. Because I looked at it a little bit ago, it was at 69, and then it went down to 68. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Nathan probably has it on his phone. He probably has it on his phone. He's freezing us out.
So we can all make it happen. It's too warm, we don't snapping. But they always told us at the conferences and stuff, but it was always freezing in there. You always wore long sleeves and a sweater. I heard that they turned it down just because of that, because after you get them back from lunch, it's like, oh, no. Or NASA.
So who's next?
Joe.
Yes.
She's who?
It's Tuesday.
Yeah, it's just.
What's that supposed to mean? Just the flood. The flood is over. I don't even know.
How long does this thing last? Joe, we're gonna take you early. We're just gonna wait for the siren to stop going.
This is warning everybody the clerk's next. How did they know? Right?
Oh, that does last a long time.
Do you know what it's supposed to be? Just make sure it works. It works.
Okay, Joe. Good morning.
Good morning.
So format's kind of in, please start with your current year's budget versus your requested budget. Explain any significant increases, identify any new positions, identify any new equipment, and then if you have any 2 or 3 of your priorities for the year, if you have any.
Current budget is, obviously, the majority of my budget is payroll, and I think most departments can say that, but I've tried to turn out as much as I could. The only increases that I really have are in paper products, like envelopes and checks. And we used to use a company in Southern Indiana to print those, but I've started going with web printing, so we're getting them done locally, and Jill is very competitive as far as that goes. Postage, Teresa and I just worked with our postage meter company to go with a new postage meter. The clerk's office probably sends out 50-ish certified letters a month. It's a lot. So we've gone to a different postage meter that gets away from the green paper and the green cards, and it's all done in one envelope, and it's done electronically, so it saved us at least, what was it, Teresa, $2, $2 something a certified letter?
Yeah.
Over $2 for each certified letter, but we have to send them the way the court requires it. So if they require us to send a certified letter, that's how we have to do it. So hopefully we'll see a decrease in the postage amount. But that comes through the commissioner's budget now. Travel, clerks have a minimum of 8 required conferences a year, and it gets to be a lot. So Becky and I, like today, we should be leaving right after this and driving up to Michigan City for our IVR, our Indiana Voter Registration Association conference and spending the night. Well, we're not. We're not. We're just going to drive up first thing in the morning and attend it. So our last few conferences where there's been a 2-day conference, overnight stay, we've driven. We haven't spent the hotel cost. The one we go to in December for election administrators conference will stay because it is downtown Indianapolis. But other than that, we've been trying to be mindful about the travel budget. So that's the clerk budget. Obviously, the big thing on the election budget next year, 2027 is a municipal election year. All of our towns, all of our municipalities have gone to the county's election cycle, except for the town of Monterey, and they do a town convention. They do their own thing. We're not involved at all, so we don't have any elections at all next year, which will decrease the budget significantly, as it does in the off years. But since it is an off year, I am going to ask for an additional amount of money to purchase 40 new panels for the voting machines. And I've got 120,000. You guys, I gave Teresa the quote.
It's 115,000. And that's just the panels. The cases are new, the VV pads are new, the pull pads are new. Everything else is new. It's just the panel that fits in those machines. I did talk to Baker Tilly when they were in here about, that was the biggest thing on my wish list, are the new panels. By the time the 2028 presidential election comes around, those machines will be 30 years old. And they work until they don't. And I just can't, I can't foresee us being in the middle of a presidential election and having 5 polling locations calling us and saying the card reader quit working, or the buttons get stuck under the frame because the buttons are all one rubber panel and they get stuck under the frame, and then one of us has to go over and fix them, or on election day, somebody has to go out and fix them. Especially if DeGroots are not going to be doing the election technology anymore. That's going to save, I don't want to say save. We pay DeGroots $7,000 a year for an election for IT. And that's been done since before I became clerk. But if Willie is retiring from that and not doing the election anymore, and you guys want the election IT done in-house, Tabor or whoever, I don't know if you want to switch that money over to the commissioner's budget and pay him through that. That's every bit of a 15-hour day. And IT gets there, Willie's always been there at 5:30 in the morning, and he doesn't leave until the last numbers are plugged in, and sometimes that's 10:30 on election day at night. So, the new panels.
Is that the, I'm sorry, Jen, is that the $7,000 on the, okay.
Yep. And the only reason I left that in for next year is because I was worried about having a referendum on the ballot next year with the revision in property tax, the whole Senate enacted Bill 1. The only school corporation with any kind of referendum on this ballot is Culver. And the only township in Pulaski County that will affect is Tippecanoe Township, because all of Tippecanoe is the tax rate for Culver schools. I was worried about having to hold a special election next year, but I forgot they changed the rules, and school boards are no longer allowed to hold special elections in off years. So any of the schools that didn't get a referendum on this ballot by August 1st cannot do it until 2028. So that'll be part of the election budget. Not the budget, but that'll be something for us to consider in 2028. But we won't be holding any special elections next year as far as school referendums are concerned.
Did you find out if Tabor's doing November's election?
I haven't heard from him yet.
Okay.
We can run across the street and ask Willie, but
I'm just asking, so you're asking for 40 new panels. Instead of, is it an option, instead of doing 40 new panels all at one time, to have a rotation of like, we're gonna rotate in X amount each year so that you're not spending so much in one lump sum?
we've talked about that. Voter confidence is not at an all-time high, and I think that would create more questions. I can see, we've talked about it, definitely doing that.
I think financially it would make more sense to.
Financially, but logistically.
Well, and the other thing with that is, Sheila, they change those models so often, we would end up with 4 different model types. And it's not like a huge deal, but when you're trying to figure out how to fix things, like the models make a difference. So if like a machine goes down, we won't be able to just say it's this. Well, then we have to find out, okay, well, what model do you have? And
What
so
if you decided to say, I don't know how many machines are at each polling location, but if you say Star City has all these models, Francisville has all these models, Monterey has all these models, and Winnemac has all these models, and Madeiryville. And then that way, maybe that's even how you cycle it out. Okay, this location gets their machines first, and then this machine, And so then you just keep a master sheet of, okay, that this is,
And we do.
Yeah,
these different locations have these models.
right.
At least that way you know when that polling location calls you, that's the problem.
Yes, so ideally, we would like to get all 40 on.
Right.
But if that were the way we needed to go, if we could, so it wouldn't be an even amount each year. You know, we would be like, okay, so let's
7
get-
here.
Yeah, so,
But that way we could plan better.
yes, absolutely.
Sheila, truth be told, Pulaski County's only always had 30 machines. We got 10 extra ones given to us from Jasper County when they bought their new machines. So we have 10 additional that we have, but we've had to cycle them in and out. We've had to use them. So like Winnemac, on election day, we have 8 machines there. We have 2 that we use in Winnemac for early voting, 2 that we use in Francisville for early voting, and then once early voting is done, those machines are sealed completely and not opened until about 2 o'clock on election day to start counting totals.
This could be a compromise instead of
Yes.
trying to figure out how to.
I mean,
If
if
it's
we,
not possible to do
Right.
40.
if we can do,
break it up.
yeah, we can do Winnemac and Monterey first, and then do Francisville, Star City, and Madeiryville second. I'll tell you what, the foot traffic at the Madeiryville polling location has really stepped up. Thought about launching another machine up at Madeiryville.
So whatever happened to the closed primaries or paper ballots, was that we talked about that before? I mean,
That's all gonna depend on who wins in November. I
so-
know the Republican candidate, it would like to go back, sorry, talking about the Secretary of State's race. The Republican candidate is trying to run on getting rid of the polling locations, going back to precincts, doing paper ballots.
So all that would have an effect on when you get new machines too.
Well, the thing about that is if they're gonna do that much of a major overhaul on elections in Indiana, it's gonna take acts of legislation. And next year is a long budget year, but it's still gonna take a lot. And that means we would have plenty of time to plan. I don't see it happening though. The state of Indiana has invested millions of dollars in these machines, in the poll pads and the voting machines. And our vote vendor services over 70% of the state of Indiana, Microvote. And they're amazing, their customer service is amazing. Our tech comes in and he'll switch the motherboards out of our, okay, we've been milking machines for the last 2 elections. If he comes in to program or set up for the public test or whatever, and there's a problem with the machine, he's used motherboards out of other machines. So he's been trying to keep them going for us. But I think it's time, especially with voter confidence as low as it is, I would like to be able to say the two panels are much cleaner, they're much clearer. They've got colors on them so you can actually see who you voted for.
Does anybody else have any questions for Joe?
If we replace those panels that you're talking about, these machines, how long can we expect them to be? Several more elections or?
I would hope another 30 years, Jeff. I
Is it?
really would. Because they're a great company. If we have anything wrong, they come right out. And Willie and RV had done all the training from Microvote, and I'm sure that if Tabor were gonna take it over, that if there's training, I'm sure he would be able to go to it, so. Does anybody have any other questions for me?
Joe, is your stuff, the stuff in the files in the basement of the Justice Building, are
Yep.
those yours?
Yep,
Okay, and is that all stuff we have to keep?
yep.
Okay. And that's its new home?
I was hoping not.
Okay.
We were seriously hoping not, but I don't know where else we're going to put. Lost cubic feet of storage when they moved us to the basement.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Okay. You guys all know how to get a hold of me if you need anything from us.
Thank you.
What's the next one? Who's the last one before lunch? Let's do that one.
Last one for lunch, commissioners. Yeah.
So Teresa's,
Teresa's the last, but
I'm gonna just keep
She's
going.
here.
Teresa, you ready? We'll start once more.
only thing is lunch will be.
Right.
Have to munch on some chips. No cookies either.
Good morning, how are you? Good. So format has been so far, if you could just start with your current year's budget versus your new requested budget, explain any significant increases, identify any new positions, identify any new equipment. And if you could please tell the council if you have any priorities, top 2 or 3 priorities.
So my budget this year, what was approved and what's been used, the pictometry was in there as approved for last year. It's not been used. And also in the budget for the level 3 assessor, it has the extra 2,500, and I am not a level 3 yet. And so mine was only 1,000. So that is less there. And the 54,000 that was in there from last year for the pictometry. So my budget's like 205,198, and that's even off a little bit because of the salaries for the 2 employees with the transition at the end of the year. Some of that is off on what their salaries were. So the biggest thing, Danielle will get a longevity increase, and Marcy should get. We are working on. Has one more class to become a level 3 assessor as well, and so then that would be an increase for her for $500 more of that extra that we get as assessors for that. And I should have mine hopefully by the end of the year, and also that would increase up into the 2,500 there. The Form 11s go out every year, so that's what's in our postage. That is mailed out by a company. I did put an increase in there with the increase in all of the postage on that. Travel, we use that. We have 2 state-called conferences a year that we all attend. I did increase that for the travel. Mine has been coming out of the commissioner's budget, so that's where that's coming from. Schools and meetings, I put an increase in there just because we don't know what those fees may be each year. Same way with the dues and subscriptions that we have for that. Other than that, my biggest thing is the pictometry. I would like to get that in our office. It will help us quite a bit to be able to get into areas that we're not able to see. It will help with a lot of that stuff there.
Does anybody have any questions?
Was the pictometry 56,000 a year?
Yes, because they fly every 2 years, so they budget for that as like 112,000 is what it was. So they spread it out over the whole six years, so it's not a big 112,000 this year, 112,000 in 2 years. They spread it over the whole time period. It's a contract that was for 6 years, and so they fly every year. But they spread the budget out over every.
So is that where we got stopped the last time because it's a 6-year contract?
I think so.
You have it now?
No, you told me no.
It's in your budget for 2026, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Does everybody understand how the pictometry works? Okay. Does anybody have any questions? No?
Can I interject something?
Yeah, of course.
So Teresa and I had been talking like last week, and she was informed recently that there is a solar project that she did not know was starting, and does not know that there's already fencing up and everything that she can assess, that's without some type of way to see above, like a drone or pictometry. She cannot see it because you can't, it's in between 500 north and 550 north, and it's in the woods. And so there's a clearing. So I live in that area. I mean, that's my area, and you cannot see it from either road. So these are things, and I get pictometry is expensive and that, but unfortunately, I think we're missing some things that we could assess, and not to downplay her at all, because she's trying to do her best, but they're missing a lot of stuff that they could be assessing without it.
I think the problem though, so the problem I see with pictometry is, yes, you're right, we're missing the assessment. But you're not gonna see that for 2 years from now. So regardless if we hire pictometry right now, we're not gonna be able to get photos from them until 2 years from now. So they do the baseline fly first.
They do a fly first.
Yeah, and so that's the base. Then you go back 2 years from now. And so everything that happens in the middle of the baseline and the 2 years from now, none of that's you can't do anything with it, because all you can do is from the base. And then you have to wait 2 years to overlap the two pictures to see what's changed. So the way Pulaski County is developing at the moment, you're missing out for 2 whole years of what you should be assessed at.
Sometimes, but sometimes we're missing out for 4 years, because if I'm out of your area, which we're not this year, but if I'm out of your area this year, you know that I'm out there, you build something, you don't get a permit for it, we don't come back out for 4 years. Unless I happen to drive by your place and I see it.
I understand that.
So we are missing even sometimes that.
On a residential scale, yeah, but specifically about solar, where we're trying to get those increased assessments so quickly, we're missing, pictometry is not gonna solve that problem.
And 2 of us have went out there, we went out one time, we weren't really able to get the information, you did get us some of that, but I don't know if it's exactly correct, because they won't let us go out there. They don't give us the opportunity for the assessor's office to go and be on the property.
And didn't you say that and I hate to say, for an additional amount of money, they tell you, is it from 1 year to the next what the changes were?
They will tell us what the changes were from year. So if we fly this year, 2 years from now, they will tell us what any changes may be. So if you tear your barn down and it's no longer there, it would tell us, some of that we could see as well. And WTH flies as well, but they flew last year. I think they're supposed to fly again this year because they said it was a bad fly. But then they didn't fly for 4 or 6 years, maybe 5 or 6 years.
So did you get the solar panels assessed?
Some of them, yes. We have what we are aware of, yes.
Because I think pretty well all of them guys get a building permit. Now, is the building permit, do they send you their building permits, or is that public, or?
I don't know if we got any building permits for that.
I think that's part of it too. I think we need to
We've had that problem for the last 20 years, that the building department doesn't give it to the assessors.
They send us stuff all the time. The building department does send us, but I don't remember seeing for the solar panels.
Because I'm sure they got a permit.
I'm sure they do. And she gave us some of the information. I just know what we got. We only were able to use the map that they gave us to draw on those panels. If it's over by 15 feet the other way, or whatever, we don't have that part of it. I'm not 100% sure. I would not state anything saying it's 100% sure that we have it exact on those solar panels.
Well, you're not a surveyor, so how are you gonna know? You have to go out there and survey it to be 100% correct.
Correct.
We don't have it. Yeah, be good.
But to measure it, we went out one time and that was not a good time.
I'm just trying to think, so Jenny Keller asked us for a drone earlier. Would it make sense for you guys to have a drone too, so you don't have to wait for that lag time between 2 years? And you guys can fly I don't know if this is.
I think you have to be licensed, but that's not a big deal.
And that way the assessment's happening sooner than later. It might, and I don't know what the cost is, if it's more cost effective, and I don't really care. I would rather you get that assessment and be able to put it on the books. I just think it would make more sense to get it done faster than to wait for pictometry to upload a picture in 2 years. That's just my opinion.
I would think you guys could share a drone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or that, or get a, yeah. But I know that you can put them up in the air and it'll measure for you.
Correct.
Okay. I just think getting the assessment on the books as fast as possible is beneficial to the county.
And as far as I know, we've got what was out there, January 1, January 2nd, Danielle and I both went out and drove around. Then Mike, that does from Nexus, he has been out and he verified what we had and took some pictures from the road.
And it might not just help you with solar either. It could help you with those people you know, you get a permit from Carla, the people don't let you on a property. You can throw the drone up in the air and you can see, okay, yeah, they built a barn 500 feet back behind their house.
Yeah, because there are some places that are gated properties and we send out a gated letter and we get no response.
Are you opposed to doing that? Is that an idea you're interested in?
You can take a look at it.
I just think you get more bang for your buck.
I think you should just do this picture with stuff that we talked about last year. Getting it done every 2 years is better than missing it for 4. And, not to say anything about the people you have and who works for you, to go out and fly a drone, talk to the sheriff's office about flying drones. It's not just going out there and throwing a drone in the air and taking measurements. There's some training to that, if you're going to be accurate. Every other county that does this has said that they've caught more stuff that helps pay for it. And so, I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't do it last year. I remember now why we didn't do it, but I thought, heck, if you have the money, we'd be done with this.
What if we did both?
And if you want to try to do both instead of, all these drones floating around, I'm sure I would check with the sheriff's office or Jenny or whoever else that has drones, or the one gal, she has a drone.
Teresa, do you get stuck a lot where you need to go out and do, this is not my wheelhouse. So,
I've been out, yes.
yeah, like when you go out, do you get stuck where you can't get to something and you can't assess it? Does that happen often?
Yes, we get some, like we had one, we're over in, I think it was in Jefferson. It was either Jefferson or White Post that we're in, or Cass that we're in. There's a gated property. There's gated. You can't see what's back behind there. There was one down in Van Buren, that I went down. It looks like it might be farmed, but we can't tell. They didn't answer the letter saying, is it farmed or not farmed? I drove past it. I'm not climbing through no gates. I'm not climbing through the weeds that was in the ditch. I drove past it, I can't tell, so it's gonna get assessed differently.
Personally, in those situations, I would think if you talk to your judges and got a court order and the sheriff's department went out there and served it, I think you could see everything you want to. That's just my 2 cents.
I mean, and some of that have been typically, up in the Monterey Resort area, I've been out there, that place is crazy out there. You can't see nothing out there on some of that. And some of that along the river, some of the people have it blocked off for the river properties. I mean, we could figure it out. We flow down the river and then you can figure it out, but that's not really what you want to do.
Okay.
So.
Anybody got anything else for Teresa?
Can the photometry, can they do it instead of waiting 2 years? Can they just do it the next following year to get it jump started?
I believe, Jenny, you had talked to the guy about pictometry too last year. Did he say they could fly every year?
I think we asked if we needed you more than the 2 years, could you make that work? I think he said you could.
But then it costs us more.
Right, it's gonna cost more, but if you needed them for whatever reason, more frequently than 2 years, they could do that.
Be nice to know what the cost is for them to just do one time in between, just to jump start it.
And some of that, like, we could have it fly and do the part of it, and if we say, hey, we don't want you to fly this next time, we can do that, and but most of the counties that I've talked to that have it, once they get it, they really see the benefit of it, so they've not done most of the time they don't do that.
I like the idea.
It did sound like they could go to a 12-month contract, like you said, that.
Right.
That's the whole, how you work a contract.
So, okay.
Anybody Anybody else have any other questions? Thanks, Teresa. Thanks. You guys want to pause for a bathroom break?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Test. Too much loud music.
I just like what you guys see in my budget.
Okay.
That's, it'll only, I don't have to go over mine.
Okay, that's fine.
One little bit, probably 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
That way the commissioners can put it in.
Why is it that? Shouldn't that be like, I don't know. Yeah.
I am too.
7. I think I'll take 6. Must be 6. Half. Why isn't that $1,000? Yeah, that's, yeah. That's a savings of 6,000. That's a savings of 2,500.
I just saved that. This is a small one. Small business, I'm not looking forward to that. There you go. Oh, I didn't know.
Sheila, the sheriff's department would like to.
Yeah, she mentioned it.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Tim.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yep, sorry. Okay, Chris and Carrie, did you guys want to come back up?
Well, when we were in here before, I kind of got caught off guard when you said we increased our budget by $500,000. So Terry and I were racking our brains. I was going through item by item, I didn't see $500,000 that they brought up to me. Terry and I, I'll turn it over to Chris on what the difference is, because we're not asking for $500,000 more.
On page 1 on the general, okay, there's a social security, Medicare, for group insurance. The items are 12100, 12200, 12300. That totals $330,000, roughly, and those are
What page are you on?
Page 1,
Okay,
And that's of the 380 location, right?
yeah.
Okay,
of the what?
380 location, which is the jail.
Oh, it's the jail page.
It's the jail
Oh, I
page.
don't know how you read this.
The
Yeah, I split them out between.
1,000 general?
Yes.
Okay.
And it says, Tim, it says jail on the top.
Yeah,
Not this one.
yeah, and it should say, yeah.
Oh, I see.
That one.
That-
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so those 3 items, were never included in our general budget. So $330,000 of that, money we were asking about is because I actually budgeted for those, even though I didn't have to, because I did it for keeping track of the jail expenses, basically. I didn't have to use those line items, because the county general pays for that anyway. I just did it so that we would be able to keep track of it when I made reports. So they would be separate with that new location number. So that is not, that $330,000 is not in addition to our budget. That was paid by the county general every year.
Well, which ones are they again?
12100, which is Social Security Medicare.
121.
Halfway down the page, Mike.
12100. 12200. Yeah. Should be page 1.
I'm on page 1 of the 1,000 general. It says jail.
Should start at 20.
What's the number?
12100.
Yeah, gas, oil, et cetera.
No, what's your top thing say? What's your very top page say? Budget line, departments by, for fund, 1,000 general?
No, I'm not either.
And it should say jail.
No.
It says. We don't see that. We don't have it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll give it.
Fine. Just on with these 3, 12100, 12200, and 12300.
So perf, group insurance. You're on the wrong page, I think. It needs, the top of the page says kitchen items and supplies.
Here it is. Yeah, but I'm looking for on mine. Just 1 second.
Yours is gonna look different, Chris, because I have your original signed on. Yours is gonna
We're
look
good.
different because I
Okay.
separated it by location. Because this one
It
has,
doesn't say kitchen items
Yeah.
and supplies.
yeah, that's why I wanted them to see sheriff and jail separate. Yeah, yeah.
I don't think any of us have this page.
Really?
Hey, do you guys find the page that says kitchen items and supplies at the top of it in jail? Do you guys have it?
Yep.
Okay, then maybe I just don't have it. You don't have it.
That's convenient.
So,
Now I got them all mixed up, but whatever. What is it anyway?
Okay, it's group insurance, perf, and social security. It's these 3.
Okay, it says jail wages on the side, so that's an easy way to find it too. Okay, sounds good. So we know that.
380 is.
So if county general paid that last time, why is the increase happening?
It's not an increase. I budgeted for it because I wanted to keep track of that. I didn't have to do that. That's something that can go away. It's still there. It doesn't matter. I just put it on there because when I run a report, so when we have different facilities, different reasons for running like just for the So I put that in there to separate. I went through and added up all the jail wages that we made and
Would it be possible to turn all cell phones on vibrate, please?
so that I could, that I ran a report, I actually had to there wasn't anything left off. Then otherwise, I would have to go in, run my report, figure out that stuff on my own separately, where if I budgeted for it, it would be right there. I don't have to budget for that, because the county general pays for it. It's not actually, that is paid by the county general in the background. All my wages, the sheriff's wages, yes.
But if we're paying it regardless, it still has to be allocated and budgeted.
So it does not, I have never done that, not one time, never. Not in the county general.
Am I wrong?
It's because they're taking it out of another fund. The commissioners are paying it, right?
Yes.
So it's coming out of their budget. She put it in there because she just wants to know.
Right.
Because so they, like if the federal government comes up and says, hey, how much is your thing to get this grant? We have to know our cost. So she wants it in there, so it raises her grant cost. So that's what I could see, because that's how we would do it in other, not county, but we do that like at other agencies on one.
Thank you,
Because we always
guys.
want the cost to be high.
And that's what concerns me. You say, I gotta take $15 out of the budget, then I get concerned. Why I gotta do that when that's all.
Justification, I think they call that, on when you do your other grants, I think they call that justification. Right. Okay. Well, hey, I'm glad you caught it.
So there we go.
So.
I just come back, I've never done that before. Let us explain this. So.
No, that's fine, I appreciate it. It was 116, but yeah, that's what we come up with, doing the backwards math, but yeah, we're fine.
We did have some increases on
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's just alarming, so it's good.
Yeah, that's sure.
Look at that, Mr. Don Street's in the tie. He's overdressed for this crowd.
Yeah.
Set yourself.
It's a good time.
God, I'm trying to wear these glasses. I got like a year now. I cannot.
Oh, for
They're like
10?
strong.
So maybe make another copy. We'll make another
No,
copy.
don't worry. They have those. I think I lost mine yesterday.
Well, I don't know that they do have it.
I don't have it.
actually. Yeah, but Jeff, that's what's,
So it must have just missed a couple files.
that don't make any sense.
Because yesterday when I was looking, because when I was trying to add this, yesterday I didn't have that page has the box. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't find the page yesterday, but whatever, it's okay. EMA's before you, Dawn, and I think her budget's gonna, Rochelle,
She's out here.
I don't think she's gonna take as long as you. So if it's okay, okay. Thanks, Jeff.
What did she say about these three things?
That, hey, how are you? Just give us 1 second. That these three things were getting paid out of your commissioner's budget.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
I bet. That's what I'm guessing.
And so now that's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Rochelle. Hello. How are you? Good. Okay, so if you could just start with your current budget and give us your new budget, explain any significant increases, if you have any new positions, any new equipment, and if there's 2 or 3 priorities that you have that you'd like us to think about.
Just the salary part or the 5% possible raise for that. The part-time help, I'm asking for 13,732, which will cover her budget, because I keep having to move money to pay her through the end of the year. And I also asked for the 5% raise on that. The 3,000 is the same for call outs for overtime. I asked for 5,000 in fuel. It's been pretty tight this year for fuel, just 4,000. And it's going up again. And I asked for 700 from 200. I have trailers and stuff that I need to start checking the tires and maintenance and make sure that they have everything in case we need to use them. With this disaster, I need to make sure, we got pretty lucky with it, but I need to make sure that I have things that I can utilize. I left the disaster preparedness supplies this thing. For training, I have 500 in there, and I'm asking 10.5. I've talked to Christopher Bird Company, and they do what's called an on-call thing, and I think it was 60 hours or 30, I can't remember, I forgot that paper, but it's 30 hours, it's like $10,000 for on-call. They can help me make sure the plans I'm writing are good, help me with grants, make sure that I can get things done to better fund EMA through grants and things like that. And if the money doesn't go towards that, I can always use it for other things. I need to do radios, which are very expensive. I have one that will be usable after the IPSC change happens, whenever that happens. There's also things like sandbag fill machines that we can purchase with that. Postage, I left the same. And then schools, meetings, and seminars, I asked for an extra 10,000 in that spot, just to cover any costs that would be in addition to training on plans and grants and seminars I would or should attend regularly, and updating radios and things that need updated and upgraded. Also, ADA has changed their rules, and they're going to be requiring the ADA director to have training. They are changing also the Title VI and the transition plan rules for the highway department to be approved. So that's, I'm not sure what all training that's going to entail. Training and advertising, I've had 250, I'm asking for 500. We've been participating in the events and festivals around the county just to promote public preparedness for disasters and just to be prepared for tornadoes and things like that. And sometimes that literature gets expensive. I bought it a couple of years ago and it was only $300, and I went to order it this year and it was going to be over $700 for the same stuff. So everybody's costs are going up. I asked for an extra 500 in equipment repair. I have a light tower generator that needs fixed. I haven't gotten a price on the parts yet, or if it's just gonna be something that I'm gonna have to replace. So I'm waiting on that to know, but it is gonna have to be fixed. It's something that it's used at the Halloween event at the state park. It gets used, at Kiwanis Fest and things like that. People do borrow it. Service and maintenance for WTH, which is our mapping system, is the same. Dues and subscriptions have gone up for AI, so I was going to need a little extra for that, so I asked for $2,500. $4,000, I left the same in equipment. And then I noted in there also, there's things that we can do for the county, and I'm not sure I've gotten to look into it completely 100%, but commodity flow studies usually cost on an average about $35,000. We can also have a flood study done with that to help with mitigation planning and actions such as purchasing grounds to make it a safer flood area. So if we have homes that consistently flood, and with the weather that we just got, it's going to be more of a concern that the county can purchase those homes and areas so that there's no homes there, so it prevents and mitigates for flooding in the future. Just things like that. I think my biggest thing is just the $10,000 in each of those sections for the training and stuff that I'm gonna need. And if it's not used for that, then I definitely need radios and a few other equipment items.
Can you just explain your training one more time? Like why you need it, what the reasoning is for it, if it's mandated by the state for you to have it?
So the ADA training will be, but we don't know what it is yet, what
Okay.
the training is going to be required yet. This $10,000, is basically to pay Christopher Burke. They would help me write plans, make sure that they're going to, like the Title VI and the ADA transition plan, they wouldn't do. That's something else that, like David would be doing that. But this would be, them basically to help check over what I'm doing, to make sure that I'm going to be able to get the funds through grants, so I can fund EMA better, because I don't have a lot of a budget to work with, and if something big happens, I don't have equipment to.
So the training makes you eligible for grant money. Am I understanding that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that would be what they would help me do.
And just so we, not saying, who's Christopher and who's Daniel?
Christopher Burke is the company that helped do the multi-hazard mitigation plan.
Okay.
That they're working on right now. So it would be through them.
Okay.
And David is the AD consultant.
And once you get your training, do you have to get certified every so many years, or is this like a lifelong training?
The ADA training will be every year or 2 years, I'm not sure right
Okay.
now. But this would be one time.
Okay, one time.
The other would be one time.
Okay. And you need radios too, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think they're $5,500 a piece. A radio, portable radio?
Yeah, they're at least that.
Okay.
I don't know what the one I have that was in there when I got in there. I don't know how much.
So she doesn't have a real good she doesn't have a backup radio, and the one she has isn't holding a charge or it's not working
I
well.
bought an extra battery because I have to change the batteries.
So if something happens and she has to leave the site, she doesn't have a radio that really works. So that's all. And did you put that, that's not in here, is it?
I didn't have room to put it in the notes, but yeah, it's not in there.
It's not in here.
And they're $500,
They're not $5,500?
probably 7,000.
They're okay, 7,000.
It depends which one you get. Yeah. They're-
Okay.
Do you have money in your budget this year?
I had $7,000 overall after.
Hey, but you do have some money in your budget. You could probably do a transfer and buy a radio because you didn't spend, you haven't spent a lot of things in your budget. I'd have to sit here and do the math, but there's a lot of things that you've budgeted 500, and you didn't use it this year.
Well, the service and maintenance for the WTH, that's our GIS mapping system. I try not to use that because if something happens and we need to have that fixed, then that's what that's for. Yeah, the equipment repair, I haven't used out of that.
So you could use that to buy your, right? Use that to buy your radio. It's in the budget for this year.
Transfer your money around and ask for the rest as an addition.
But that's like, I mean, it's one radio a year.
Right.
That way, so yeah, it really makes sense. So, yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions for Rochelle?
So you got $5,000 in repairs and maintenance. That'd be a start.
Yeah.
You got a pretty old truck though, don't you? I think that's an old sheriff's department truck from Gears days, so that's an old truck. She might need her 5,000 to keep that running.
Oh, that's the RML. Is that on my radio budget or is that on?
Yeah, it'd be our MO equipment fund.
Can you spend that for anything? Is there certain rates on that?
So that's what, when you talked earlier, when I transferred money out of it, I requested to do the sheriff's department because it's in my budget. But from what I've been told and understand is that they are the ones that were in charge of it, and they have all the military equipment. But they said they are not using it anymore. So I don't use it just because I was told it was the sheriff's.
Oh, yeah, because it doesn't look like you spending anything in 25 either from that.
This was my understanding that it wasn't meant for.
There's a,
Hey, yeah.
there's a thing that governs that. There's a rule or whatever. And I think that how that works is that anything that's sold out of the DM market goes into that fund, and then you and the sheriff split that.
Okay.
So some of that money's yours, that's not all the sheriff's.
Okay. He did tell me they weren't using it anymore because they don't have any more of that military equipment, so.
Is that the 9104 account we're talking about?
No, the 4,020.
Did you have, in that 9104 local emergency planning, there's $10,000 in that too, and you
So
haven't
that-
spent
That
any.
is state money, that's the OBC money, and I can't use that.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
They have to approve whatever.
They won't approve it for a radio?
I don't know, I haven't asked them this year for that.
Try it.
We can do that.
Never know unless you ask.
Also, was told this year in our class that we can't use LEC funds for EMA stuff. So I think it's gonna be specifically for LEC and EMS. I can't use it for EMA.
Yeah, there's a little vague there, you know, you're gonna use it for that local emergency planning, so.
Just have to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, it's just like, if it's there and you need a radio, I mean, I think it's a good spot. Just trying to help.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any other questions?
Nope.
Thanks, Rochelle.
Thanks.
Commissioner Street?
Can I sit with these down?
Good morning, how are you? Good morning. So we kind of have started every session. If you could go over your current budget versus your requested budget, explain any significant increase, identify any new positions, identify any new equipment, and if there's 2 or 3 priority things that you want to address. Yeah, thanks.
I appreciate Teresa and the work that she does with this. Obviously, she deals with the numbers and putting things together. As you can see, she put commissioners and council a 5% increase. Some of the items I wanted to discuss, and it's health insurance. We were very fortunate this year in only a 3 to 4% increase, where a lot of organizations are getting a 15% increase. So us being fully insured has kind of helped with claims down. Also, property and liability insurance. Teresa and I met with our insurance company back in June, I believe, to talk about our property and liability. We looked at some of the equipment, had our department heads and elected officials look at our equipment, making sure we take things off and reduce our expenses there as well. We need to expect a large increase because of all the issues throughout our country with damages and things. So that's going to be passed on to everybody. But we're doing what we can to try to reduce that property and liability insurance. One item that we as commissioners have approved and we feel very strongly about, and we discussed this as a joint session, is the human resource or HR position. I truly believe this needs to be a separate funded item. I think that the salary could be taken out, and benefits could be taken out of ARPA. Interest that we accumulated as a county, which is approximately $280,000. That will keep it going for at least 3 years. Our attorney spends a lot of time dealing with HR items, and we as commissioners do too. And quite honestly, many people aren't trained in HR with the many state and federal laws and regulations that there are. So I think that this position is extremely important for us, someone that has the education and the background in this area. And just a few things that I've written down here is just compliance, staying up to date on federal and state laws, keeping our handbooks up to date, helping our departments and elected officials with evaluations, and just making sure we're overall compliant in the state and federal laws. I believe it depends on the right person, but that can save a lot of time and money by reducing our attorney expense for them to deal with our HR items, as well as letting someone that is professional deal with many HR items, taking that from the commissioners. Obviously, the commissioners, if there's a recommendation, we would have to make that decision. But dealing with the ins and outs daily with that is very important. I think a salary for an individual is approximately 80,000 plus benefits. I think will give us a competitive person with that. Tabor Brown, our IT department, came to us last night and suggested another IT person that could take away from what we provide with our servers and different information. I'm sure he'll talk about that. But that could reduce our expense with an outside source that would provide another individual here. And I believe it would probably be an equal balance in expenditures and money that we spend on an individual here. So I think that position would be worthwhile. We did not approve that. We want to look at it, look at the numbers. But as Tabor talks as well later, are you talking to Tabor on this?
Yeah.
The IT department. I think that would be very beneficial to the county. And then we as commissioners are also talking about our buildings, as you're aware as well. We need to make sure our plans, we develop plans and keep our buildings well maintained, renovations and upkeep. We've taken public comment, but we need to take a strong look at that and develop an overall plan. I truly believe that will save us money in the long run, and developing a capital projects plan, maintenance plan for those items. Teresa, help me out here with other items.
So I know one of the things you want to look at when you're looking at the commissioner's budget for the county general, it should say 1,000 general at the top of your page. You should start with county commissioners as the very top line. So if you look down, and it looks weird because, and I'm sorry for it looking weird, but just to explain, the attorney, I know it shows 0, but then if you look further down, it says professional services attorney. That's where it's gotten moved to because of the way we learned this in January of this year when we went to do our W-9s for our contracted folks that we pay, whether it's attorneys or whoever we pay in contract. The federal government had changed it, so we needed to move him out of a 10,000, which is a salary line item. We had to put him more in a contract line item, which is why he's in 31,804 right now instead of the 14,100. So it's not that we're asking for an additional 80, it's, we're just moving to a different line. Yes, because of the federal regulation with the 1099s. Most of this, I did increase a little bit because of, everybody knows postage is going up. We pay for the postage for the meter down at the clerk's office. At one time, we had an exorbitant amount there because of things that took place before when we had each department have their own postage. But, so now it's all put under commissioners and has been for a while. Let's see. Schools, meetings, and seminars, I increased a little bit from 17 to 19,000 because unfortunately the prices of seminars going up. Unfortunately, just like everything else that keeps going up. Let's see. I increased the electric, water, and gas a little bit, as well as NIPSCO. We don't know what that is, unfortunately. Examination of records, I increased that because that is actually the price that we pay State Board of Accounts to, whenever they come in, not just for us, but when they come in for like the town or one of the schools, we have to pay the bill before we can, because then we take the money out of the tax money we settle with them in May and November. So if they were audited in July, then we get the bill, we pay for it out of this, and then we get reimbursed from the town or the school or whoever was audited. So, that's what that is, that's why I increased that, because, and unfortunately, we have not gotten our audit, invoice for what we just went through with Crow, for 2 years, so, looking forward to that. I know Joe was just in here from the clerk's office, postage meter. I did raise that quite a bit because we did have to switch to the new postage meter to try and save us some money as far as with the green cards, the certified certificate of mailing cards. Before it was costing us almost, I think it was like $6 each envelope to send it certified, and now it's like $2. So that's why the increase in postage meter on this last page is to, because we had to switch to this new machine. Plus, we were paying, Joe would have to go to the postage, or the post office every day, to take the certified delivery through there. Any questions on County General or Don, you have anything to interject?
Last year, you all graciously increased $5,000 to $10,000 for the fire departments. I believe I asked for 15 because I think it's, fire departments are beneficial. If you'd like to increase that, that would be appreciated, I'm sure, by the fire departments as well, the different rescue squads as well. Teresa also had mentioned salaries, and that made me think. I truly believe our elected officials are salaried. I think that it would be beneficial to make a transition to department heads as a salary position. That way, that's a set cost. They make decisions within their department. I think that's something that the council can think about. I think with the HR, if HR moves forward, I do believe that needs to be a salary position as well. I think there would be benefits to that.
Anybody have any questions so far, County General? Okay.
Anybody remember what the salary position was, the trouble with it, why it got changed from salary to hourly? I know Kevin Tankersley had mentioned something about that, and that's been probably 15 years ago it got changed, but I wonder what the issue was and why we did it.
I can try and find out for you.
I know there are federal regulations that have to be met for people who fall into a salary category.
Exempt and non-exempt, I remember them talking about that forever.
And a lot of it has to do, from my perspective, is do they oversee people and do they make decisions, the final decisions in their department? So, yeah, good point.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, do you want to move on to the next one? Or Don, whoever.
Let's see, you guys mentioned about the fire departments. Okay. And another unfortunately thing, because there's lit on the way, we'll have to figure out where that needs to go, as well as with the lit economic development that pays for insurance. It also pays for our fair board, the crisis center that we usually give. I left those the same. Also, human services as well. And I left her as the same, and that's what she would like is we've increased it last year to 40,000, and she's also requesting. Say something about it.
It made a substantial difference for us. I sent, Teresa asked me this year for some detailed budget for our expenses, which, we know our transit budget, it's already been approved for next year, public transit. But I don't think a lot of people understand that those funds are only generated if we generate the local money. So we operate for months on local money, wherever we can get it, and then file for reimbursement, and then they set a ceiling of what we can get, but we have to raise 60% of that to generate it. The state allocation is typically 22 to 25%. And right now, they had to submit budgets and use 2-year-old state share. It's called PMTF. And but the balance we have to generate. So we have service contracts with the Coaction, which is the aging representative that includes our county. That helps us provide the transit to people 60 and over, so that their expenses are down. We have an agreement with Head Start to transport between 30 and 40, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds for Head Start. The new vehicles that we got, the convertible seats were godsend, because we would have to go to everyone's house and have to either put in a car seat if the child was still there. And of course, that's all monitored through CURTSI, which you guys have signed that agreement. CURTSI is Public Transit Regional Coordinator for Jasper Newton Stark and Class. A lot of things are being regionalized there, a lot of our policies. And then we wanted to show you elderly services and community services. Our elderly service funding has not increased in 4 years. They increase the amount they will pay us per meal served, but then they decrease the amount of meals. So that money, all the balance of that all has to come local. And then with community services, there's been no increase since 1978 in that funding. And in fact, it went down 3,000. It's an allocation that Michigan City, or North Central City Action, they handle the port, Stark and Pulaski County. That's the funds that we use for our information referral, our internal case management, our linkage with other people, which we've done since our inception in '76. So right now, they have no clue whether or not they're even having money, because the state has made some substantial budget cuts in areas. And our amount that they give us is kind of like their leftover. After they write their budget, they have something to give to Stark, and they base it on our population. So even though we might do more than the other counties do, which we do, and always have, but it's still based on population. You know, another county can get more funding regardless of the impact they have. So we're asking you guys to please give us the 40,000 again. It made a substantial difference. And we're real excited. I wanted to tell you too, the satellite radio that we got, that CURTSI, that funding for us to do this year, what we have to do is put in $250 a year for the maintenance. All 5 radios. We have had no problem communicating anywhere in the county. Even if we go to Indianapolis or Fort Wayne, those radios work.
Thanks, Jackie.
I'll say about the transportation, I've received a few phone calls early in the academic school year, last year. Transportation is very important, not only for our elderly and people with special needs, but also younger families whose children need to go to a preschool. Hauling that many kids is wonderful. And that's just a strain on our parents if they're working and involved. So transportation is extremely important in our county, as rural as we are. So I would definitely support that and encourage you to continue the funding for this transportation.
We also transport the peak adults who live at home, as they are not provided that service from peak, they live at home. We provide service to them for whatever they need. And it's public transit, so we take quite a few people to work, and I think people know that, with Donald's and the Dollar General store. So it's been a big help for people who did not have a vehicle to get to work. And some people use it to park their car, especially the elderly, or someone has to go to the doctor and is not sure if they're going to be able to drive home. So, anyway. But it's a great service. We work really hard. We have very few employees. We had to cut, but we still get the job done. One of these days I will retire before somebody else.
The Fund 1217, the county elected officials training, I left that the same. That is for state hall meetings.
That's helpful.
Thanks, Jackie. On the 1112, you might have already said this, I'm sorry. The crisis center, what's the $10,000 for the crisis center? Which crisis center?
It's the one, the Rensselaer. I think it's where it's at.
It is.
Okay. Was it? Sorry.
By you.
And the nice thing is what
Same answer.
last year, Fort County always before we had to pay like.
Yes, $150,000
or something a year. And because of them coming to us last year saying for the next several years, we don't have to pay that. So that's very nice. That helps us budget quite a bit.
Anybody else got any questions? Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
No, just this last one, that just,
Get some of the Jackie stuff.
Is it lunchtime?
Nathan.
You still have him for lunch?
Oh, I thought he was after lunch.
This thing.
He's in here.
okay, well, that was,
That would have been on that.
I wrote that down.
No, it's lunch.
I think maybe hers is in.
Oh, no wonder.
Yeah. We'll recess for lunch. Our next meeting is going to be at 1 o'clock.
Man, we could come back at 12:30 and move faster.
Yeah, see, I don't have, how many sheets do you have?